I'm just making this real quick before we start the video as a little disclaimer. YouTube apparently wouldn't let me use live footage not owned by the bands for certain parts in the video, so that's why the video got blocked worldwide 3 times. So it's going to look a bit different for a couple of the albums that I mentioned. I just figure I'd give you that heads up. Before you see it and ask me what happened, like I said, I've uploaded this thing 3 times. It got blocked worldwide each time, so I had to just kind of not do the live footage and cut it and do something different. So hopefully you understand, but now that the disclaimer's over, let's get right into the list of the top 10 best albums of the year, in my opinion. As I mentioned in the worst of video, there was a lot of music that came out in 2020. Mainly because we got in a government shutdown and, just kind of had nothing to do. Some musicians, of course, being bored out of their mind, are going to do what they do best, create. We took a look at the worst examples of those in the last video, and today we're going to take a look at the 10 best examples from 2020. This is my list for the top 10 best albums of the year. Number 10, Corey Taylor, CMFT. Okay, so it's not Slipknot or Stone Sour, but who cares? Corey Taylor goes out of his comfort zone for his debut solo album, and he seems to be having legit fun, like he actually cares about the songs he's singing here, and he's not trying to write some heavy song that fits the demeanor of the band that he's in. Influences like blues rock, country, and hard rock leave you on the edge of your seat as to what's to come next from the Slipknot frontman, and it may take some time getting used to, especially for fans of Slipknot and Stone Sour who are used to the heavier stuff, but trust me, after multiple listens, you may find yourself jamming to it without even knowing. Number 9, Green Day, Father of All Motherfuckers. This is what you would call different. I mean, it's the least punk Green Day album out there, but god damn it, these songs are catchy. From the high energy title track, the slower Junkies on a High, and even the short but sweet Sugar Youth, you're left singing along and bobbing your head just like you should be during a Green Day album. And to me, this is some of the best instrumental work done by Armstrong and his bandmates Mike Dirt and Trey Cool, as all 3 show off their musical talent that we knew they had by showing off these different influences. And overall, I will say, this album isn't for everybody, especially diehard Green Day fans, but I will go out and say this, for the people that have always been uncertain about the band in the past, maybe this is the album that wins you over. Maybe. Number 8, Ozzy Osbourne, Ordinary Man. Man, this fell so far on my list. I mean, when it came out early in the year, this was easily the top 3 best albums of the year. But really, since its release, I haven't sat down and listened to it in full, and I only really play the songs that are my absolute favorite. Don't get me wrong, though. I still love this album, and I love seeing that despite all the health issues, the Prince of Darkness himself can still rock out. This album features wonderful appearances from Slash on guitar, Red Hot Chili Peppers' Chad Smith on drums, and even guest vocal performances by Sir Elton John and fucking Post Malone. Ozzy also stays the same while taking little bits of risks here and there, but really, it's this high on my album because I've come to realize it's just your normal Ozzy album. It's nothing special, but in the end, that's what makes it good. Number 7, Grey Days, Amends. This was a tough listen, not because this album was bad or anything, but because Chester Bennington's vocals just hit a lot harder now since his untimely death 3 years ago. This is Bennington's first band before Linkin Park, which is Grey Days, as they decided to get back together and rewrite their songs from back in the 90s. This all became the album Amends, and really, it's just so jarring. It has tinges of grunge mixed with alt-rock and some dark themes of self-reflecting. It's simple but sweet, and I like to call the whole album is just full of gems. But in the end, it will always be hard to get myself to go back and listen to Bennington's haunting vocals, as they just leave me a bit too emotional. But thanks to songs like Darkness, What's in the Eye, and B12, I still have songs that I'll go back to religiously and will always cherish.
I beat it like a dead horse, I beat it like a drum.
Number 6, Hayley Williams, Pedals for Armor. After Christmas 2019, things started to get weird on Paramore frontwoman Hayley Williams' social media pages. She seemed to be teasing something, but we weren't sure if it was new Paramore or something else. Well, that something else turned out to be the announcement of her debut solo album, Petals for Armor. It dropped in May, and I have to say, it still holds up. Yes, some of it still sounds like Paramore's previous album, After Laughter, and the album does feature her bandmate Zach Farrell on drums on 2 tracks, and Taylor York with additional instrumentation while he also produced the whole album himself as well. But I assure you, these are songs that Paramore would never do as a band together. Songs like Simmer and Dead Horse go after Hayley's ex-husband Chad Gilbert, calling him out for his mental abuse, while songs like Why We Ever and My Friend pay homage to some of Hayley's best friends over the years. And this album may not go down well with Paramore fans, but for fans of Williams and indie music, you should eat this up and be satisfied with the final result. Number 5, All Time Low, Wake Up Sunshine. All Time Low pulled a major U-turn. I mean, after the more pop-oriented Last Young Renegade received backlash from fans, All Time Low's second release under Fueled by Ramen, Wake Up Sunshine, brings back the pop-punk roots we've grown to know from these Maryland rockers. Yes, it still has more pop-leaning songs like Monsters featuring Black Bear, but a song like Sleeping In will definitely take you back to early 2010s All Time Low, with the catchy riffs and choruses just filling this album along with the charming beats here and there. It's a fun, bright, and nice album, which, with the way 2020 has gone, is very much needed. Thank you, All Time Low. Thank you for making 2020 fun. Kind of. Number 4, Asking Alexandria, Like a House on Fire. Oh no, Asking Alexandria isn't an edgy metalcore band anymore? So what? Like a House on Fire is a step down from the 2017 self-titled album, yes, but this album is still catchy as hell. The title track really does its job in introducing you to the new sound, the anthemic choruses graze our ears, heck, even songs like Down to Hell, What's Gonna Be in Lazarpam, have all grown on me and have become some of my favorites. Oh, and there's the catchy Take Some Time as well. Danny Worsnop really gets to show off even more of his vocal talent and shows that AA's change is really for the better, as you can only keep up the edgy preteen metalcore sound for so long before it becomes repetitive and just plain boring. I commend AA for this. It's not perfect, but it's definitely more memorable than past records. Now, if they would go back to the self-titled sound, I think we could all be happy. Number 3, Poppy, I Disagree. I mean, you saw this coming. When Poppy first started popping up, no pun intended, in 2015, I found her videos odd like everyone else. When she started releasing music, I wasn't the biggest fan. It wasn't until 2018 that she released a song called X, which saw her incorporate rock and metal elements into her sound. Needless to say, that won me over. Fast forward to 2020, she is now signed with metal label Sumerian Records, and her third album, I Disagree, is out, and it is an angry one. Poppy finally breaks free, and we get to see the new and improved Poppy. From the opening track, Concrete, to the finisher, Don't Go Outside, we are left with song after song of brilliant sarcasm and smartassery. The deluxe edition of this album also gives us more into the story of this album, which tackles denial, death, and regret. And Poppy, she doesn't plan on stopping anytime soon, as she plans on releasing another album coming next year. For metal fans, this might be different, and it might take some time to get used to, but it satisfies the need for catchy and heavy pop metal. Number 2, Bring Me the Horizon, Post-Human, Survival Horror. This record is sick. Sure, Ammo was a bit underwhelming with its jumping of genres, but with part 1 of 4 of the Post-Human series, Bring Me the Horizon see themselves joining the ever-growing popularity of genreless music. I guess an easier way to put it, this record sounds like Sempiternal, That's the Spirit, and Ammo all mixed together. The electronic moments, anthemic choruses, and even the heaviness of early Bring Me the Horizon pop up here and there. A story about a post-apocalyptic universe featuring the likes of Youngblood, Baby Metal, the Nova Twins, and even Amy Lee of Evanescence. It's an adventure. Trust me, songs like Kingslayer and Dear Diary will win back the fans of old as the heavy gutturals by Ollie Sykes return, and other songs even feature breakdowns, like from Suicide Season era. Plus, if you're a fan of Linkin Park, this record is highly inspired by their sound. This is what Bring Me the Horizon should be and look to be sticking to in the future, and it seems that they have finally found an identity that they're happy with, and at this point, you don't have to be a metal fan to even like Bring Me the Horizon. With their constant genre crossing, it's really made to appeal to anyone, and this is just the start. Before we get to the number one pick, as we do with every single list video, we're going to take a look at 5 honorable mentions that barely missed the list. These albums were good, but I felt like there was just something about them that still would leave them off the top 10 list, but they're still worth talking about. So, here's those. Honorable mention number 1, Run the Jewels, self-titled 4. Run the Jewels are basically the 2020 equivalent to Rage Against the Machine, politically charged music that's basically a soundtrack to any anti-racism movement. Heck, this album even features Rage's Zack de la Rocha himself. This duo is doing rap right, it's not trying to be stereotypical, it's just trying to bring topics of racism and violence alive and in the limelight, and in a very creative way, leaving most rappers to wish that they were this good at covering serious topics. Honorable mention number 2, Pearl Jam, Gigaton. Funky. Never thought I'd have to use that to explain a Pearl Jam album, but here we are. Not all of this is quote-unquote funky, but a song like Dance of the Clairvoyants gives you a stunning bass line, almost sounding very disco-like. This album is still rock, but another different direction for Pearl Jam that will divide some fans. But for the most part, you'll definitely find something from this album that you will enjoy. Honorable mention number 3, I Don't Know How But They Found Me, Razzmatazz. After an EP like 1981 and 2019, it left me wondering what a full-length album from this duo would sound like. It still has the 80s synth pop feel and is full of catchy lyrics that leave you singing along and wanting more when it's over. I was hoping that maybe it would be a bit better, if it could even be, but it was still a fantastic listen from start to finish. Monster, you get in my way, I'ma feed you to the... Honorable mention number 4, Eminem, Music, To Be Murdered By. A step down from Kamikaze, but not as obnoxious as Revival, Eminem returns to the horrorcore, giving us an Alfred Hitchcock-inspired album, and 19 tracks might be too much, but it definitely had some memorable moments for the most part. This is the album that also contains the posthumous feature by Juice WRLD on the song Godzilla, which is a banger by the way. M's vocal flow gets better, and for the first time in a while, Eminem feels consistent. Honorable mention number 5, Ghostbane, Anti-Icon. The guy getting married to Poppy is doing rap metal. Ooh, what a shocker. Ghostbane has always been very interesting when it has come to his music sound. He really doesn't have a set sound, which gives him more free reign to do whatever he wants. Anti-Icon doesn't follow the rules. It's full of genre-bending songs that had plenty of staying power, and it also brings fans of metal and rap together for the better. And now, the number 1 album of 2020. What could it be? Last year, I had a deadlock between Korn and Blink-182. I just couldn't make that decision because they were both so great. But this year, there was one album that stood the test of time. One album that got a perfect score, which I don't hand those out often, especially for new album reviews. I just don't. But listening to it all the way through, it just left me happy. I felt entertained, and there was just no going back. This is that album. Number 1, Deftones, Ohms. What a comeback. 2016's Gore was more mellow than usual, even for Deftones, and it left fans wondering what was going to come next for the band. Well, in 2020, Deftones decided to bring back Terry Date to produce the album that would be Ohms. It flashes us back to older Deftones, with albums like Diamond Eyes, Around the Fur, and of course, the classic White Pony. Chino Marino come in with his eerie vocals, and the horror movie-like instrumentation leaves you feeling like someone's watching, like you're losing your mind and slowly going crazy. It's just classic Deftones with a different tinge of darkness, leaving us wanting to hear more despite being disturbed by what you just heard. Deftones, they saved 2020 and rock music by not giving a shit what they did. They just wanted to be entertaining in a time where people were stuck at home and just wanted something to enjoy during their spare time. And I say, they nailed it. big time. So yeah, that is it, guys. That was my list for my top 10 favorite albums of 2020. You can tell me in the comments below what your 10 favorite albums were this year, because I can tell you already, it's probably going to differ from mine, because even though I'm a music reviewer, I can't listen to every single thing that has come out. That is just impossible to do. But hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you have a Merry Christmas. And until then, see you in 2021.